right, welcome everyone to Tracer Training. My name is Mark Mellinger. I'm the project manager for the Tracer project. Today we are going to talk about class management. That is, all the different actions that you would need to take on a class in Tracer. As a refresher from the Tracer 101 course, classes are the way by which we apply credit to personnel in the system, and it's largely the way that all training is accrued. That is, training hours, credit, and then also certifications and firearm qualifications. All of these things are driven from the class and from the class details page. And so, as you might expect, alongside the personnel management training course, this class management training course is really going to build out the kind of the spine of the application in general. When you're equipped with personnel management and class management, you have the ability to move someone, create a personnel, create an officer, create their employment, and then create the classes through which they can accrue training credit. So, without further ado, I'll just dive in. You can see my screen here. I am logged in to Tracer. I am logged in as Tom Jackson here, and I am an Academy admin user. So I work at Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy, the same user from some of the other trainings that we've made. So this should look familiar to you. And so as an Academy user, I am largely going to be managing, maintaining, and creating classes through which officers can attend and gain credit for their training. So, first thing I'm going to do, and the thing that will help us set up the rest of this training, is I'm going to create a new class. And so, on the home page, the Tracer homepage here, we have along the right side our Create New section. This gives us the option to create important entities, important new items in the Tracer program. And for the Academy users, that create class is the first button at the top here. As a quick reminder, and you all probably know, but you can also use search to navigate through the site and create new entities as well. So if you go to search and then class, the create new button is also available for you here. We'll navigate from the home page, which is how I suspect most of you will access this functionality. So I click Create Class, and the class details page appears in what I would call Create mode. And so it gives us the details page and all the fields we need to fill in, and they're all editable and blank for me to fill in with the information that I want to see. And so the first field here we'll fill in. This is the class title. I know. Call this dispute resolution. Now, as a user in Tracer that I am, my employing entity is Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy. This next field, owning academy or agency, this denotes what academy actually owns the class that's being entered. Since I work at this place and I'm a user in Tracer creating a class, the system automatically creates this entry for this field, and this is not changeable. So as a user for an academy, I can only create classes that my academy owns. You'll notice to the right here is the certification exam checkbox. This checkbox is only accessible by DCJS users, as this is the law enforcement cert exam indicator. So this does appear here, and you will be able to see on classes, you'll see it shortly, if a class is a cert exam class, but you will not be able to check this box. So next, moving down, you're going to set a start date, an end date, a daily start time, and a daily end time for this class. These fields match what you see in ACE today. So you're just setting kind of the course overall start and end dates. And we'll say this class is 2 days. And then for daily start time, you can use this clock indicator. So just be aware, whatever the black box here is around, this is what you're editing. So it moves pretty fast. I clicked an 8, it goes 8 here. It immediately moves over to minutes. So I can say that this class is starting at 8:04 or 8:07, any time that I want. And then finally, after you pick your minute, you do have AM and PM selectors here. By default, it automatically starts at AM, but you can choose PM as needed, and then you click OK. This is going to start at 8:03 AM, and then you select your daily end time, and it's the same format. So I'll say 6:01 PM. The next row, you have locations. So these are standard options. I believe these are in ACE as well today. So you can pick any of these kind of main location descriptors here, as well as online. You can have online classes. I know you have those today. If you just select online, there's other options, but you may not need to fill some of these other fields in. So we're going to say this is on the Academy campus. And then you'll note that a lot of the other fields in this area are not required, but you can fill them out. So this is on 123 4th Street, building A1 in classroom 235. You can put notes in for the class. And you can designate course sponsors and course coordinators. Finally, you have a row here of items to select. So first of all, you have a box here that says closed. This is the control that you're going to use when you want to actually close the class. So as I'm creating a new class, you want to leave this open, obviously. Next, you have a field for maximum class size. So this is a suggestion field box. This is not a binding field in any way. But this is where, as an Academy admin or Academy staff user creating a class, you can identify like how many people you would like to have in this class. So I can put in, we can have up to 25. The power to enforce this limit or change this limit or exceed or undersell this limit all lies with the owning academy or agency. So you're not boxing yourself in any way putting this here, but you'll see when we get to enrollment, it can be helpful to fill this field in so that you know how many people you want to accept into the class. Finally, there is a checkbox here called Firearms Scoring Class. So if you have seen the personnel management class, our training course that we offer, I mentioned there that you can fill out that Tracer tracks your yearly qualification for firearms scores. That is, officers of the functions that require a yearly firearms qualification. You use a class and a roster on that class to then say whether they have completed that firearms scoring class or not. By checking this box, you're designating this class as being a firearms scoring class, and when someone is applied credit as successfully completing this class, they get credit for that yearly qualification. So I'm going to leave this unchecked right now, but that's what this field does. It's a quick way to give everyone credit for that yearly qualification, everyone that you put on this roster, without having to go to every person and check that they did. All right, so I filled everything out in the name, dates, and location section of this page. You see now we have all the information that we need at a high level to show what this class is. The next section is functions and credits. And so this next section is how you designate what this class will apply to for any officers that take it. We have some descriptor fields, but the first row is really important. It sets out, kind of what the class really applies for. So the first drop down that you have an option here, it's required, and this can either apply for instructors or officers. Obviously, if you pick instructor, it's going to be instructor training. When you make a selection in the training type field, this second drop down appears, and it gives you all the instructor types that you can designate for this class. And so If I pick instructor, I can say this class applies for general, for provisional, for firearms, for driver training, defensive tactics. And that would mean that anybody with these instructor types that's getting instructor credit can get credit for any of those instructor types. The same logic applies for officers, and this is what we'll pick for this class. If I pick officers, if I pick officer here in training type, then all of the functions that are available to me appear in this dropdown for functions served. And so I'm going to go here and I can select law enforcement. Again, you can make a multi-selection here, so a class can apply to many functions at once, especially for in-service. That's not a problem. But for right now, we'll just pick law enforcement. And then along the right here, you have training requirement type. And so I spoke just a second ago about in-service, but this is where you pick whether this class is going to apply for basic or initial training, for in-service training, or if it's a generic class that's not going to apply directly to anyone's officer training. This would be the option for classes that an agency might give. The example I always use is CPR. If you're training a group in CPR, you can fill out officer and law enforcement officer in the previous field, but then put generic in to designate that this is not going to apply for any training, any specific DCJS training. So I'm going to select in service here. And the next set of fields we have our hours field. And so this directly correlates to what we have in ACE. We have legal hours, career development hours, cultural diversity hours, and then total class hours. So the way that credit is distributed in Tracer, both for basic and for in-service, is by the application of class hours. As you accrue hours, you get credit for those, and as soon as you reach the total hours that you need for that training, then you have completed the hours requirement. I know that for basic academies, there is a DCJS requirement of hours, but there are no legal, career development, or cultural diversity hours. All you have to put is total class hours for that. So if we can pretend that this is a basic class, the requirement is 480 hours, you would just put a 480 in this total class hours. Given that this is an in-service class, we'll make up some numbers here. So we'll say you're getting 2 legal hours and you're getting 6 career development hours, and you're getting 2 cultural diversity hours from this class. These hours don't have to add up. Obviously, as you all know, they can be concurrent hours or consecutive. So this, I will put in 10 here, but you do have the freedom to designate just how many hours you're getting in terms of total class hours, as well as legal, career development, and cultural diversity. All right, so then after I've filled in the name, dates, and location section and the functions and credit section, I hit save, and my class is created. And now I'm on the class details page. In view mode, I see all the information that I've entered to this time. I also see, as a person who owns this class, I work at this place, therefore I own this class. I have the kebab menu in the upper right of the class details page. I do have the ability to edit this. I can make changes and save them. I have the ability to, I have some other functions here in the upper right. We will cover these, at least the print class roster later in this class, and then view objectives covered and exams passed in the exam management class. But these functions live up here, and for now, the important one to note is the edit ability in the upper right. So scrolling down the class details page, I see another section before we get to the tabs. And so this section, subjects, instructors, and schedule. So this section is really where kind of the backbone of the class is. This is where you insert all the subjects that will be taught. Instructors, as you know, are brought in to teach subjects. And the schedule of the class, the day-to-day schedule, is broken into subjects. And so this section is where you kind of build that out. It's right on the details page for you, so you can still see all this information related to names and dates and locations, as well as functions and credits. But this section here is going to be where you build out a lot more of the details around what's happening and when. And so it's organized very familiar way with the rest of Tracer. We have a data table here with some columns, a couple of add buttons, and we have an add button here, and then we have a credit instructor hours button, which I'll get to in a second. But what we're going to do here is we're going to, because we're still in the process of building this class out, we're going to add some subjects to this class. So I'll go ahead and click Add New Subject, and it brings up a modal window for me to add more information in. So now this is the first place in this class here where one of the items that we're filling in ties back to the Academy and Agency Admin class that we also have, the training course. So if you haven't checked that out, you can find that training class. But this subject field is a lookup, and it gives you the ability to locate a subject that you have placed in your Academy details page on your admin screen, and to pull it into this class. So essentially you get to customize those subjects and the kind of the training plan at your Academy, and then you can pull those customized subjects into your class. So if I go here and I click lookup, what I see is I see all of the Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy subjects. There are also some standardized DCJS subjects that appear here now. You can always filter those out if you don't want to see them, and we may choose to filter those out altogether so you only see your subjects. That is up for discussion, and if you feel that way, if you feel strongly about that, just seeing your subjects, just please let us know. It's a very easy thing for us to do. So anyway, I'm going to pick a subject. We'll call it arbitration here. Simple click and confirm places that subject in the field. The next set of options for me, so I have an instructor lookup. I also have a checkbox that says is outside instructor. So this first one, let's add the outside instructor. When I check this box, everything gets a little simpler here. The idea with the outside instructor, this is a question when giving the first demo for the first Tracer 101 demo. An outside instructor is defined as an instructor that's not tracked by DCJS. So don't think of these people as instructors that are certified by the Commonwealth but are outside of your Academy. An outside instructor is a subject matter expert that maybe comes in and teaches one piece, and DCJS does not track their instructor certification. Rather, they're kind of brought in to teach on one specific subject. And so you can see if I check this box, I get an outside instructor note field below, and I can put in the name, me, and arbitration. Okay? And so you can designate who taught, you can put in any information about them. You can type if there's a second person, and a company that Bob works at. So you can put anything in here. This is just for your record keeping. You can see who taught this subject in this class. And then next, we have a start date, start time, end date, and end time. So whereas the class, we had a daily start time and we had the start and end date of the class, this is more specific. This is when are we actually teaching this specific subject? So Bob and Jane here are going to start at 8:03, and they're going to go on the same day until 12 noon. And I'm going to add to class. So now what we see is we have our first subject. In this table here, we know the start and end date and time. We see the instructor. Obviously, we chose outside instructor, so it's just going to show this selection. And we have the subject that's being taught. You'll notice we have a little caret over here. If I click that, the row expands, and I can see the notes I put in. I also have a kebab menu item here, so if I need to edit this or delete this row, I am free to do so. Again, because I'm the one, I work at the academy that owns this class. So not everybody will be able to do these functions, but because I'm an owner, I can go in and make adjustments as needed. I'm going to go back in and add some more subjects. Demo subject here. The next piece I want to show you is how to add an instructor that is tracked by DCJS. We have the same kind of lookup button here. It pulls up another modal. And this is a certified instructor lookup. Now, it's important to note here that this pulls everyone who is a certified instructor that is tracked by Tracer, which is quite a high number of instructors. It can be anybody from anywhere in the state. Ultimately, you can choose to pick anyone to teach at your class. But remember, you have this data table component, and anytime you have a data table, you can filter it down. So if you want to filter down to Academy of Record and Henrico Sheriff. So if you want to filter that down to only instructors that are in Henrico Sheriff's office, you can easily do that. So I'm going to pick my instructor here, CCC. And we'll say he picks it up on the 26th at, give him 12:30, we'll give him a half-hour lunch break. And he's going to finish at 3 p.m. All right, so everything that we've entered to this point is the same that we entered for the outside instructor. We have start date and time, end date and time. We have the instructor. The difference being we pulled somebody in from our system instead of designating an outside instructor, and we have the subject. So everything above this line is the same. Everything below this line pertains to the instructor hours that will be available to be credited to our teacher CCC here. And so you have the option to designate instructor hours type, and really you're picking the instructor type to which those hours will apply. We're going to say this is just a general class, so we can credit general instructor hours to CCC for teaching this, and he's going from 12:30 to 3. I can put in 2.5. The last field here is instructor hours credited. It says no. That's because you haven't credited those hours yet to him. We're expecting, obviously, as the class goes on, you will be able to apply those instructor hours once the subject is taught. So for right now, it just shows a no. You can also designate whether these are apprentice hours or not. If you're tracking apprentice hours for the instructor, CCC is a designated instructor, so we're going to just say that he has already gotten his apprentice hours and that these are just general hours. So now that I've filled everything in, I'm going to click Add to Class. And maybe they do not like the decimal here. Okay, we will be able to track decimal hours, but we clearly cannot right now. So that was the reason for that error. But once we add it here, we see our subject has been added. if I click on the start header here, it puts these items in order based on start time. So you can imagine as you have a class with 10 subjects or 20 subjects, with a simple click of this start header, you can get a very easy to read schedule of everything that's going to happen in this class in the order that's going to happen, and you can kind of see exactly when things will be taught. I'm going to add one more subject just to fill out our field here, and I'll go a little quicker so you can see it in action. Disputes 101. I'm going to preemptively filter my Academy records here. And we'll pick another guy, AAA. He's going to close out today's session. 3 p.m. And what did we say? 6:02, right? 6:02. Cool. Not sure it's a good idea to have Disputes 101 has firearms qualification, but that's what AAA has, so we'll put it here. 3 to 6:02, 3 hours, and we'll add to class. And so here you go. Here's what we have the first day of this class. We have all our subjects in here. Show you expanding the row on a class that has, or a subject that has an inside instructor. You get everything below about crediting the hours for that instructor in place here. And actually, I do have it going one more day, so I'll fill one more subject out. Finding common ground. Have him teach it again. We're going to spend all day tomorrow on that. Maybe about 10 hours. All right. So now we have our class build out. We have our subjects scheduled. We have our instructors scheduled. As a side note, you'll see we have an instructorship class training course for you to take as well, another video just like this. I will show in that class how when someone is scheduled, as our guys AAA and CCC has been scheduled to instruct, as soon as they are in this table here, this class will appear on their upcoming schedule for instructing. So your instructors can see exactly what they have coming up, what dates, what subjects they're teaching, what times, and they can have that schedule built out across all classes that they might be called in to instruct on. All right, so now we have everything on the details page filled out. When we created the page, we did our name, dates, and location, and our functions and credits. After the page is created, we came in and we filled our subjects, instructors, and schedule in. I can note that these are all editable, so and all already saved too. So as you come in, you don't have to build a class in one session. You can create the class, and then next time come in and fill subjects in. You can build this over time if that's the way that you want to do it, if it's a class that's far out in the future. But this is the way that you do that. Next, I will talk through all of the tabs here. So we have 4 tabs on all of our class details pages. And they cover the different kind of items that pertain to this class. So first up, we have enrollment. This pertains to how many people are, or just people that sign up to take this class, and then the class roster, that is everyone who has been added by the academy that owns the class into this class. Next, we have apply credit. So I spoke a little earlier about how credit is really applied in the form of hours. as well as a completion status. And so for everybody that's on the class roster, they will be able to have their have credit applied to them. Next, we have applied certification. And so for everyone that completed, that had a successful completion code in the Applied Credit tab, they will be eligible to have an academy or agency certification applied. And so if you all have seen our academy and agency admin training, you'll note that you can, as an academy or an agency admin, specify special certifications that can be applied outside of the DCJS mandated certifications for officers. This is where you would apply those certifications. And so you fill your options out on the admin screen, and then those options that you have filled out are available to be applied. And then finally, we have an exams tab. And this is a pretty big tab. There's a lot of functionality kind of under this. We will have a separate training class just for exams. But essentially, this is where you create exams that live under a class. So all of the exams that you would have that pertain to demo dispute resolution would appear under this tab in this data table. That is practical exams, written exams, multiple of each. Everything would live kind of in this exams tab section. So let's go to enrollment and dive into it. So we can see here we have maximum class size. This is again specified up on the details page when you created the class. So whatever numbers you entered into the details page, that number is just going to surface here for your reference. This will help you if your sign up and wait lists fill up. You can see as you add people to the roster how many slots you have left. You also have a current enrollment. So this tracks just how many people are on the class roster. It updates dynamically, so as you add people, the number will count up. And then this is and you'll see it in more detail in a second, a dual list component. So you can add people to the sign up and wait list. And then from this list, you can move people into the class roster. So as I am logged in as a person who works at the place that owns the class, I have full power to enforce both of these lists. I can go in, I click this Add Personnel button, and currently this is set up to show me everybody that I am able to see, and that would be anybody employed at my academy or anybody employed at any of the member agencies of my academy. And so I can go in here and you'll see I'm clicking all of these rows. I can click multiple people. All the results here are paginated, so I can click those folks and then come over here and I can click, see what's on page 3 here. Okay, great. So I can just go here, select all these people. And by clicking all these names and then clicking submit, what I'm doing is I'm adding people to the sign up and wait list. So these folks appear here. And these are people that are on the wait list to take this class. So this should all be familiar to you. As the Academy user, I have the ability to add people to the class. What I'm going to show you next is a departure from what TREX and what ACE specifically allows you to do. And it's one of the benefits of having everybody in the system together, having a comprehensive system. We will allow agency users to sign their own people up for classes in Tracer. And what that allows them to do, please note, it doesn't put that person on the class roster, but it does take some of the onus off of the academies of stocking the sign-up list themselves. The agency folks, if they know what their people need, they can sign up for that class as needed. And so I'm going to log out and just show that real quick. Oops. Log out. Now I'm going to log in now as an agency admin. This is my agency admin user, Walter White, and I work at Henrico County Sheriff's Office. And so this is a member agency to the class that was created. I'll search for this class. So as an agency user, I can search for a class. And so let's talk about the class search actually. So once I do search type class, I can search by title, academy or agency. This is going to be the owning academy or agency of the class. So this is a long list, as you can imagine, has every agency and academy in the Commonwealth. But there's also a type ahead capability. So I can, my mouse works with me here. I can type Henrico in here, and it filters everything down to only those things that have Henrico in it. Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy. I can filter by instructor or officer training. I can filter by class dates. So these are classes already held, or that is closed classes, classes that are in progress, or those that have not started yet. I can also filter down by function served. So if I'm looking for things that only apply to juvenile correction officers, I can do that. If I leave it blank, it'll search everything. I have the same function for instructor type served. And then I can also filter down based on the training requirement type, whether it's basic or in service or generic. So I'm going to say, because this class is signed up for today, 7/26, and it's here, I'm going to search. And here we find my class, Demo Dispute Resolution. This is the class we worked on. Cool. So remember, I'm an agency user who's a member agency of the Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy. And if I click the link here in the search result, I can see the class page. And so this is the class that's being offered. Note now, I don't have any control over the page itself. Only the academy can administer this page. I can't add subjects, I can't credit instructor hours, but I can see things on the page. I can see what's going to be taught. I can see the functions and credits that it applies for. I can see all the details here if needed. So I can provide this information to my officers if needed. And finally, when I get to the enrollment tab, note I don't have any controls here, but I can see the wait list, and I can also add personnel. And so the same function applies here. As an agency, I can go in and sign up somebody I know I want to put in the class. Let's say Kenneth Bacon. When I add Kenneth Bacon, I can add him to the class. There he is. Or I can add him to the sign up and wait list of the class. There he is. And so this will be powerful, and hopefully will allow for the academies to have to watch this less, and also put some more responsibility on the agencies to see that their people can get into classes, or at least into the sign up and wait list for a class. Distributes a little more of that responsibility, and hopefully makes everybody's job a little bit easier with less communication needed. So this is an agency user who is under the Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy. But you may have noticed, if you looked at the front page, there are a lot of classes that could be in Tracer. And on the classes queue, I can also look under a different academy or agency. And so really, what I'll demonstrate next here is I'm going to sign in as an agency user, agency admin 2. I'm going to sign in as an agency user that does not roll up to Henrico. Here I am, John Snow, and I work at Richmond Police Department. You'll notice when I log in under queues, everything's filtered for the Richmond Police Academy. That's my home, that's my academy of record. But I am still able to find classes elsewhere because it is possible for someone from Richmond Police Department to take a class at another academy. So we do the same thing. We can search for a class. I can type in Henrico Sheriff. And if I search, oh, I also did classes in progress. There we go. I can still get to the same class, and I can see the same thing. If I would like someone from my agency to try to attend this class, I am welcome to add them. So if I click add personnel, you'll notice everything in here is now filtered for my people, right? Because I can only see those folks that are in my organizational view, that is the Richmond Police Department. And I have a user that I'd like to add here. Byron, my guy, Byron Scott. I would like Byron to take this class. So I can use lookup and assign him, and here he is. You can see his name, and you also get to see the employing entity that Byron works at. So that way, for the owning academy or agency of the class, they can kind of see who are their folks and easily see also those who may not roll up into their view. Now, I know the next question is going to be, how do we credit hours for these folks? So we will show kind of how this works, but I just wanted to play this out and show some of the power of the system that, when we're all together and all the users are in the same environment, it really opens up and should make easier everybody's job of signing people up for classes and maintaining the registration for those classes. Hopefully this allows and alleviates some of the burden that's on the owning academies and agencies today. All right, I'm going to log out now, and I'm going to log back in as Academy Admin 1. I'm going to log back in as Tom. Now I work again at the owning academy of the class. I'm going to just quickly find this here, demo dispute resolution. You'll notice I went to classes queue. Class is currently ongoing. It's already filtered for my academy, so I can easily find my class. All right. Now here I'm on the details page, and I go to the enrollment tab. So you'll notice this looks a little different for me than it did for the agency users, and that's because I have controls that allow me to populate the class roster or remove people from the sign up and wait list. These blue arrow buttons pointing to the right is how you put somebody on the class roster. And it's just that easy. You can continue to click and add people. These trash can buttons next to each person's name here, those remove folks from the sign up and wait list. So if I own the class, I reserve the right to say, John Absher doesn't need to take this class. You'll notice I clicked it and he's no longer on this list. John can always be re-added, so nothing permanent has been done here, but it does pull him off the sign up and wait list. So I can add any of these folks in any order. And you can see as I'm adding people, the enrollment's going up, so I can keep keep track of how many people are on the roster as I'm adding more and more folks. What that bug was there. Looks like we still have time. Sorry for that. It's a bug. It looks to be adding people. And we also get to our guy, Byron Scott, here from the Richmond Police Department. I say, oh, okay. He wants to take this class. Very easy. I can add him to the roster as well. Now I've filled out a class roster. You do not have to clear out the sign up and wait list. Excuse me. All right, sorry about that. You can add more people. All right, sorry about the delay there. Anyway, we can add more people to the class roster. You do not have to fill the roster out to the maximum class size. And you also don't need to clear the wait list. You can simply add people as you desire. So just to kind of show that, you can always have more people on the wait list. Maybe you don't want to get past 14. That's totally fine. So anyway, we have our class roster. We have 14 folks here. We have our 6 people on the wait list, and we're just going to leave them there. So that's the enrollment tab. The next tab of note here is the apply credit tab. So now you can see there are actually people in our tab. Before, when we looked at this, there was no one here, and that's because there was no one on the roster. So as soon as people are added to the roster, they appear as ready to be ready to have a credit applied. So let's take a second here and let's pretend now we're halfway through the class. We have a roster, we filled it up as much as we want to have it. The day came, it is 7:26, and we had our first day of class. You do not have to apply instructor credit at this time, but let's just look at these subjects and the instructors that taught them and apply credit as if we did it midway through the class. So if you remember, we added instructors that are tracked by DCJS for our last 3 subjects. After 7:26, the admin can come in and credit those hours to those instructors. So you see here, we have the option, as an owner of the class, you can credit instructor hours. And so basically, we've entered in all the information that's going to apply. If we don't want CCC to get 2 subject hours for this, you can always edit that. Well, he had to stay an extra hour, maybe he got 3. You can choose to update the start time and end time. You don't have to, but maybe he went through the lunch break. So you can see what will be credited and simply credit hours. You see you get a success message here. When you expand the row, you'll see now instructor hours credited, yes. In the instructorship course that we teach, you'll be able to see kind of where those hours roll up. But basically, those have now been applied to CCC. And then for AAA, you get the same thing. We'll credit those hours. Obviously, the outside instructor, you can't credit their hours because they aren't being tracked by DCJS. So you don't have to do anything with that row. We highly encourage you to use this crediting for instructor hours. This is a way you can kind of track what hours they need towards their refresher, their recertification. And this makes it really easy for you to do that. You can also do that when you close the class out. So as you're applying a credit to instructor or to the officers, you can go through each of the subjects and apply it to the instructors as well. All right, so fast forward even more, and we'll say that we get through the class. Everybody taught that. Cool. So we've applied credit to all the instructors, and the class is over. And so now we're ready to apply credit to our officers. We do that from the Apply Credit tab. One other little feature we have for the data table component in general. You'll notice you might notice I've done this change already, but you can choose how many items per page show up on this data table. So if you have 14 people, you can choose between 10, 25, and 50. And so that shows the entire group of 14 in one place. So you'll notice everybody has a row, has all the legal hours, career development, cultural diversity, and class hours that these are the hours that have been credited already. We haven't credited anybody yet, so nobody has anything. You'll notice that every row here has a Kebab menu. As the owner of the class, you have the ability to go in and credit these folks with completion. So let's credit our first person here. So we have completion status. That's the first selection we make. Obviously, we see who we're crediting. You'll remember from the admin class that we taught, you can populate this list with extra completion codes. You can see some test codes that I have in here alongside of the standard DCJS completion codes as well. So I'm going to pick satisfactorily completed. As soon as you pick a successful completion code, the hours that you entered in for the class appear under each category. You can still edit these, so you're not locked in. But they do kind of give you that baseline. Hey, this is what you can get from this class. And she did a great job. She got satisfactorily completed. If I click credit, it will credit for her. And so Latifa, she has these hours credited to her as completing this class. She is within my organization under the Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy, so I am able to credit her hours. You may also notice that we have bulk apply and bulk remove buttons up here. So what bulk apply does is this is adding the same completion status and all the hours to all the personnel who have not yet been credited. So this is pretty powerful, especially when you have a longer list of folks. If you have people who have done basically the same completion status, what you want to do as a point of training is this bulk apply will skip over people who have already been credited, and it'll bulk apply to everybody that's left. And so it's really important to think about when you have some folks that maybe they didn't complete the course correctly, or maybe their circumstances were unique in the class, to handle crediting for those people before you do bulk apply. But let's say we have everybody here, they did equally well. I hit bulk apply and choose satisfactorily completed. And this will assume the class hours associated with the class. And then I click credit. This is a little bit longer of an action. You can imagine the data behind this is a little more complex than just doing it with one person. So you notice the loading bar happening here at the top. It's thinking through this. But soon it will apply all these hours to those folks. There we go. Great. So everybody's credited. Everybody gets the hours from the class, the standard hours. We're working on, we will put in an enhancement to make sure you can actually adjust those hours when they're being credited. But ultimately, this is the way to quickly apply credit to everybody through one action. So that's how the Apply Credit tab works on the whole. You can also bulk remove. This will pull everybody's credit out. So just be careful when you use this. This is not, this will rip everything out. Now, everything can be corrected. You can always reapply credit. You can do it multiple times. If you mess up and let's say you mess up and Mark actually, he didn't get full credit. Very easy. You can use the Kebab menu to remove his credit. And then you can re-credit him. So let's say he got partially completed and he missed 6 of those hours of the career development hours, and then only gets 6 class hours. And there you go. So you have the ability to be completely flexible with this, and if you make a mistake, everything's pretty easy to fix from the class details page and the apply credit tab. Now you'll remember too, we added someone to this class that is not that does not have the Henrico Sheriff's Office Training Academy as their academy of record. And that would be Mr. Byron Scott down here. So the way this works, I, as the owner of the class, was able to apply a completion status to Byron, just like I did for everybody else. And so I have the ability to go in and say, hey, Byron satisfactorily completed this class. But you'll notice that none of the hours that were credited for everybody else who was a part of this training academy, who had this as their academy record, they all got actual hours here, 2, 8, 2, 12. Byron, since he goes up to the Richmond Training Academy, the Richmond Police Academy, he didn't get any hours credited from this class. And the reason for this is because only the Academy of Record, as you all know, can apply training hours and kind of prove those hours to be applied to the personnel. And so what the system does is it allows the owning academy of the class to apply the status, and then Tracer will send a notification to Byron Scott's home academy. And if you remember, when we did the management class, the admin class for academies, you can set notifications to go to certain folks. So this is a notification that would be related to officer training. And the academy is going to get an email that says, hey, Byron has been credited with a completion status as satisfactorily completed for this class on this date. It's going to contain class information, the title, the date, the start date, the end date, the type, the function served, the hours that you can give. And remember, as an academy user for Byron, for the home academy, the academy of record for Byron, I can go in and find this class. And so let's actually take a look at what that's going to look like. I'm going to log out and log in, and this is the Academy admin. So this is Peter Gibbons from Richmond Police Academy. This is for Byron Scott. And so I'm Peter. I got an email saying that Byron completed this. I can go into Tracer and do a class search and find this class. I can go in and I can see all the details. I can say, okay, you got these subjects that were taught. Ooh, these are some good instructors. This is great. I can see how many hours. Again, I can confirm everything I got in the email. I can also see Byron on the class roster. And I can go to the Apply Credit tab and I can see the results for my guy, Byron Scott. And I say, okay, yep, he did satisfactorily complete this class. After reviewing everything, I am okay giving him credit. When I go to Byron's personnel details page, I see that even though he has, in his officer training tab, this class would have applied for his function, he didn't get any hours for it. And this class does not appear as applying to his training row for this session here. And so what I do to approve Byron's credit is I create a class as his academy of record, and I give him credit from there. So Byron demo credit class. Now I see I am the owning academy and agency of this class. And I can put in all the information. So we know it started at 8 a.m. We know it concluded at 6 p.m. I can put anything in here that I want. I can, omit information if it's not as important. And basically, I create the class that will credit Byron. So in service, and it was 2, 8, 2, and 12. So now I can enroll my guy here. And let's find him. There he is. And now he's on this class roster. I can apply credit. And there he is. And now I see, because I created the class, this is a class by which I essentially approved Byron's hours for training of this class. I can see that now I can apply those hours. I can always put in the notes here, this class is to apply hours from, I can put the URL of the old class if I so choose. I can just type the demo dispute resolution, just type the description, 726. I can leave any kind of notes in here that I want to keep for training purposes, tracking records. I can do that on the notes section on the class. I can also do that. There are notes if I expand the apply credit row on any class. I can put notes in here as well. This is credit from an outside academy approved by Richmond Training Academy on 7/26. There we go. And so I know a lot of y'all are asking, and this is a pretty common question, how does credit get applied to someone? Can it happen from someone who isn't the academy of record of the person taking the class? And the answer is no. The owning academy of a class can designate whether somebody completed it successfully or not, but the academy of record of the person will be notified, and they'll have the ability to go investigate and see what the completion code is and what the hours will be, and then it is the responsibility and the power of the academy of record of the person to be able to credit those hours. Just to drive it home, we see as Byron now that he has gotten the class credits from his home academy. When we look at his current training status, we'll see that those hours apply to 8, 2, and 12. When we expand his training row, here's the Byron demoed credit class. This was the one given by Richmond. All right, cool. So that's applying credit both to folks that have their academy of record as the owning academy of the class and outside folks. Let me log back in as the owner of the class. All right. So after all that, I'm back in as Tom Jackson here. I own this class. Go back to our dispute resolution class. So awesome. I have my enrollment. I have the people on the roster. We had the class. I credited the hours to the instructors. Then I came in and I applied credit to folks that took the class, even those who did not attend. If you remember, I didn't do, beyond giving Byron his code here, I didn't do anything else, and that's consistent with the process. We don't want the academy who owns the class to have to do anything else beyond just say how the class was completed. Byron got his credit through his home academy. And next, the next action that the Academy user who owns class is going to take is they can apply certification. So this isn't necessary. This is only really applicable if there is a certification to be offered. But for the sake of showing this, what I can do, if there is an Academy certification, maybe if somehow there was CPR credit in here, I can apply that certification to any user, any personnel who took the class. And so, of course, I can do that from the row level. You'll remember from our Academy admin class, you can load this list with all the Academy-specific certifications that you want to have. We'll check this in CPR training. You can apply multiple certifications at one time. We can apply one. And then finally, the only thing else that you have to specify here is if you want to use the end date of the class as the date certified, or maybe they did CPR on day 1. The end date of the class is the second day. So I can choose use other date and select a date. So for CPR, maybe they squeeze that in and do the first day of the class. So I can put the first date as the certification date for the certification. And now for John here, he's had a certification applied. So again, it's just that easy. We have bulk apply and bulk remove buttons here again. Just remember, whenever you use a bulk apply, you're going to be applying the same thing for everybody that hasn't had anything applied to them yet. So as a point of reference, you always want to do the any specific cases first, and then follow up behind it with a bulk apply for the bulk with the rest of the class. And that's the certifications tab. This one is fairly simple, much less involved than apply credit. Obviously, you can think of applying credit and the apply credit tab as pushing everything into the system that pertains to a DCJS certification. You know, credit hours that push that forward. And then applying certifications on this tab here are more for your academy and agency certification. All right. The last tab we have here is exams, and like I mentioned, we will be covering exams in a separate course. There's a lot of material there. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I mean, it is fairly simple. Again, a familiar layout here for you with the ability to create new exams right from this tab. I'm going to leave that there, and we'll cover kind of creating new exams at the start of the next training in this class. All right, and the final thing that I'll do here, the final thing that I'll show, just to bring this all around, is on the home page for every user in Tracer, you're going to have a classes queue, and I've kind of alluded to this and even used this quickly, but this queue, this classes queue, again, shows you everything, all the classes that are upcoming and all of the currently ongoing classes that you'll see at the academy or agency that's listed in this lookup component right here. And so when I log in, it defaults to my home academy. But as I showed you before with the agency user, you can populate any academy or agency here. I can look and see the classes coming up at Chesapeake. We haven't migrated their data yet, so they don't have anything. But this gives you freedom to kind of look around. I know currently today, this is information that's hard to see across academies, and it takes a lot of communication and effort to kind of know what's going on at different academies or even at different agencies in terms of classes. This lookup allows you to just see that with a few clicks. And so Chesterfield's one that we have, you can see there's classes that are coming up. You can always sort by start date, name, end date. You can filter. Training requirement type and training type will be fields that are entered here. And so this is really powerful information that is available to you. The final thing that I will cover is the distinction here with upcoming and currently ongoing classes. And the last item we have to do is close our class. So upcoming classes is defined, this list here in this queue is defined as any class that has a start date in the future. And so anything that's been added with a future start date is going to appear, and you can sort and list and update and filter and do all that. The other tab that we have here is currently ongoing classes. These classes are defined as any class with a start date either as today or in the past that is still open. So you'll note that there are some classes here with an end date that has passed. This first one right here, test 712. This class is already over. But the reason that it's still appearing here is because it's a class that's still open. And we haven't closed that class yet. And so for our demonstration's sake, this is the class that we've created in this class. And I'm going to go here and close it. So if you remember, we credited everybody, we apply credit, we apply the certification. We'll cover exams the next time. But I can go in and now close this class. You see class status, this is the field we're looking for. I go and I edit this page, and I click closed, and then save. And now I see my class status is closed. And when I go back to the queue, it's still set on my academy. And my class no longer appears here. Nothing with demo in it, other than, well, this is a different class. So, so again, yeah, that's how things move off of this queue. This is going to be really helpful and really powerful for users to be able to see kind of any classes that are lingering that need to be closed. You also get a sense for anything that's happening today. We know what's being taught. These classes have a start date of today. This one goes from July until next, the following January. So anyway, this is powerful information for you to have. And that is the last thing for class management. So thanks everybody for your time. We look forward to having you in the system, and also look out for additional trainings from us. Thank you.